I wake up and Matt Canada is not the OC for the Steelers anymore.
Right.
It just
Right.
doesn't matter. I don't know.
It just doesn't matter.
Maybe Ken Dorsey and Matt Canada can start a podcast, right? C and D.
I like it. The scapegoats.
All right. Let's do this thing.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football. I'm living in a fantasy. Football. Got everybody mad at me. Football. Cause every game I had to win. Football. I gotta be a champion. Football. I'm living in a fantasy.
It is the Audible Week 12. Can you believe it? Week 12. We're rolling. And of course, that means we are here with the Waiver Wire show and who's you're going to add, who are you going to drop, all those sorts of things. Who are you going to hold on to? It's almost fantasy playoffs. Hold on. Here, hold on to your socks. That's what you better hold on to. Anyway, we'll go through upgrades, downgrades, and Waiver Wire report and the Monday injury rounds. I told you I was feeling it, Bloom. Yeah, we have to talk about Joe Burrow and the injury rounds. That's depressing. Geno Smith, elbow injury, projecting a week 12 return. Okay. Are we sure about that? Or is it time for Drew Lock? Anyway, upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire report available at footballguys.com. We'll get all of the low percentage guys. Let's talk about Jordan Love. Yes, Jordan Love. And then Desmond Ridder inserted back into the starting lineup. And Arthur Smith, who's likely going to get fired, is like, I think he learned over the last 2 weeks. Arthur, Arthur. I like him, but man, that's a dumb thing to say.
Well, Taylor Heineke didn't exactly do a lot to make this move seem irrational. We'll see. Going up against the Saints this week. Ridder actually had 3 good fantasy games in a row before he was overtaken by Taylor Heineke. Not a great matchup this week. Scoring his runner, switching the ball to the sideline hand. You like to see that after he fumbled on a play like that earlier this year. Jordan Love's a little higher priority for this week, though. And if you need someone from the waiver wire, if you were going Joe Burrow naked, no, not that kind of naked, but no backup, and you need to get someone from the waiver wire, if Jordan Love's out there against the Detroit Lions defense, you want to go ahead and play who you can against the Lions right now with the game scripts they have. It's going to be an early start on Thanksgiving. So Jordan Love, first 300-yard game, as you said, during the recap, see what he can do for an encore. Those are the guys that have at least value in 1 quarterback leagues. And then, of course, we have our 2 quarterback super flex section.
Right. And Bloom, I will say this, strategy changes. That's why I talked about hold on. Like, we're almost to the fantasy playoffs. If I can grab Jordan Love and just keep him from somebody for the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, and it's quarterback injuries. I mean, just to go back to what's happening with these quarterback injuries, I think they said, I don't know what the number sees, like the number of teams that are going to have a quarterback play every game this year. It's going to be low, very low. And it's maybe a quarterback like Jordan Love or Desmond Ridder doesn't seem like they're worth that much right now, but another 2 or 3 key quarterback injuries and they become more valuable. And that also can ripple through to the values of players like, well, what do you do with Jamar Chase? We're going to talk about T. Higgins maybe in one of those segments at the end. So the quarterback injuries are the story of the year, and you might not necessarily wait for your quarterback to go down before you reinforce your bench.
So what's Zach Wilson's excuse?
He's on the scapegoat. He's the first guest on Scapegoats.
Oh, there you go. Right. Scapegoats. Start your podcast. Jake Browning, Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle, who actually could be worse than Zach Wilson. There's Drew Lock. Aaron Rodgers, maybe. And then there's Jameis Winston as we continue to watch. We're recording this Tuesday morning in case you're listening on a Tuesday. And we don't know the concussion status of Derek Carr yet. Anyway, let's talk about these 1%ers.
Sure. Jake Browning. See if you got anything from your All-Star Game notebooks or your Jake Browning.
He's terrible. He's terrible. He's terrible.
He has the same initials as Joe Burrow. Maybe that's why they
right.
He can run around. facing the Steelers this week. Tommy DeVito actually showed some promise, or is it just whoever faces Washington is going to show promise? Either way,
No
Tommy
pass rush.
right?
Hey, Tommy
Facing-
DeVito looks really good when they can't rush the passer.
And he was sacked 5 times in the first quarter. That's the giant. Who is worse? Kianes Manos Macho? Tim Boyle, like you said, we could see Trevor Siemian, Drew Lock. We never trust Seattle until we see the players are actually playing. And even Geno Smith could play this week and the elbow could get worse. Aaron Rodgers, really? He's going to come back to practice next week? I don't know. But again, preemptive ad in 2 quarterback superflex leagues. Jameis Winston, Derek Carr still in concussion protocol coming out of the bye. He can get cleared before the game. However, what are the chances Derek Carr is not going to miss any more games? How many times, Cecil, have we talked about Derek Carr on the injury report? A lot this year.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, probably better than, how many starting quarterbacks? And I'm not saying Jameis Winston's playing his best football right now, but he's still better than like 10 or 15 starting quarterbacks, which means in a 2 quarterback superflex league, he's worth stashing just to see what happens.
Yes, just to see what happens this morning. It's like when you wake up and Matt Canada's fired. Sorry. There's that one time our chat room is awesome. And then once in a while we get some people in there. That one guy was like, "You look like you just woke up." Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks. Welcome to the Audible.
Cease, we learned the question, right? What would it take for the Steelers to fire Matt Canada?
I didn't think it would possible, right?
Well, what it was, Cease, it was, here's the moment. When they get the ball back in a tie game in the 4th quarter, under 2 minutes, and you made a mistake by letting your quarterback throw the ball. That's when you know. What's next? Is it Mitchell Trubisky? Is it Mason Rudolph? Stay tuned.
Right. Stay tuned for more of that as we go to the running back position. It is the Audible Week 12 waiver wire. You're thinking fantasy playoffs. You're worried about your backfield. Monday injury rounds, Adam Hutchinson, footballguys.com. So Ken Walker, oblique injury, projecting week 14 return. You know what that means. Aaron Jones, knee injury. Oh, man. Projecting week 16 return. Yeah, that's right. Dante Foreman, ankle injury, projecting week 14 return. Devon A-Chain, we don't know. And that sucks because he came back. We're excited. And then, well, Mike McDaniel just yesterday was like, well, we know we're going to wait and see.
Yeah.
And I think they'll treat it a little differently than they did this last time. So let's get to the upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire reports available at footballguys.com. It's written by Sigmund Bloom. 50 to 100% spits. Zach Charbonnet, spent it all. Fantasy playoffs. I can't even believe he would be out there, Bloom.
Yeah, just in case. Again, I'm using 60% Yahoo Public League ownership, just in case. But he's that highest priority. A legit oblique injury for Ken Walker. And it's one of those situations where he's been on the injury report so much, Walker, that you knew at some point he was going to have an injury that causes him to miss time. So Charbonnet's going to play on Thanksgiving. I got Matt Canada on the brain. Here's my theory, Cease. I just came up with this. It just popped into my head. Here's why Matt Canada was fired. Here's really what it took. As a Steelers fans, we can attest to this. Even during Duck Hodges, even during Mason Rudolph, at no point did it feel this discouraging, this demoralizing to watch the Steelers offense play, right? This game was like a true low point in the last 4 or 5 years of Steelers offensive play. And they had a choice to say, blame Canada, thanks South Park, or blame Pickett. And Pickett's only in the 2nd year of his rookie contract. So even if it really is Pickett more than Canada, there's one of these 2 situations that can actually be salvaged. So they had a choice of who to put all this on. Scapegoats, Matt Canada, co-host, right? I think that they had to do that so there was at least some plausible explanation for how Kenny Pickett could get better.
Yeah, how he could get better. We shall see. How does your fantasy team get better? Well, there's Zach Charbonnet, AJ Dillon, Ty Chandler, and let's talk about Salvin Ahmed as well. Let's get that chunk out of the way, Bloom.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you got Jet McKinnon here too, 10 to 20%. Lots of running backs. Let's talk about them all because Miles Sanders is 5 to 10%. So anyway, there's a cluster of backs here. I'm going to throw in Samaje Perine for a 6 pence, but that's for a later conversation.
He's trusted. Cease, what's the old saying? You know, you can Starry Joe in one hand and the other pick up these running backs, see something like that. I mean, that's
Right.
how desperate we are at running back, though. And that's the thing. You can't necessarily make a great case for these running backs, but that's if you want some hope at running back, these are some choices. These are the choices that you have. Okay, AJ Dillon should get a start on Thanksgiving, and we'll see. He's not very good, but Packers are going to have to rely on him. Lions run defense is actually pretty good. Ty Chandler, Alexander Madison actually played well. Fumbled, actually played well. I don't think Chandler's in position to overtake him. Also, Chandler more involved in the passing game. Did get a 31-yard run on a fake punt. So his stats, while they look better than Madison on paper, don't think that means he's about to overtake him. But hey, he had a viable fantasy game last week. Minnesota's offense is still viable with Joshua Dobbs. They play Chicago on Monday night. Salvon Ahmed's the backup for now, like you said, Cease. And Mike McDaniel is going straight up Mad Hatter on us. He might not play. He might play. He's not definitely out, but he's not definitely in. And we, okay, okay, Mike, I get it, man. So Ahmed scored last week. He's the backup for Raheem Mostert, who has been durable the last 2 years. But if he goes down, Ahmed could be in a plum spot for fantasy. And Jerick McKinnon, and come back to Jerick McKinnon. His role didn't increase last night. He didn't get more touches. He didn't get more snaps. But how did the Chiefs lose last night? How did the Chiefs lose? Because they can't depend on these guys. They can't depend on Justin Watson. They can't depend on Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And with this loss, they move back to the pack. It's one thing if the Chiefs are comfortably cruising into the number 1 seed. But if they start having must-win games to get the division, to get the number 1 seed, then that's when I think Mahomes is going to rely on McKinnon. So, again, I didn't see McKinnon have more fantasy value last night, but I saw some precursors for his value to grow going forward. Miles Sanders forcing that committee. Yay, a committee running back on one of the worst offenses in the league.
Awesome. And I'll throw in my Samaje Perine take.
Sure.
Like, they don't trust Jaleel. Sorry. He's going to be on the Chuck. When we get to Public Enemy, it's going to include Jaleel, if it hasn't already. Fantastic talent, can't keep his feet. Can't keep his feet. That's where he's different from Phil. I even said that last week with Philip Lindsay on the radio. I said, he's not you, Phil, because when Phil took a shoulder, he'd keep his feet. He'd fight through it. He wasn't a pile pusher. Jaleel just flies all over the place. You give him a shoulder, and he's just like, wee. So I think I've said that before. I don't know.
Phil Lindsay?
I talk a lot.
How is he on the radio? How is doing radio with Phil?
Very energetic. He's never done it before. Okay, so we put a guy who's never done radio before in the number 1 spot, and he's really energetic. He works really hard, and this is, it's just what we do, Bloom. So, but it was funny when Phil told me off the air, he's like, I want you to be as critical of me on radio as you were when I played.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay.
Cecil Lammey from Football Guys and the fan.
His sister didn't like me like a lot. Like, I got a lot of heat from the Feed Phil fans because after his rookie season, I was like, yeah, he peaked. And he did. His rookie season, he peaked. Now he had a pretty good sophomore season, second year. But anyway, so yeah, it's interesting. I wouldn't say it's odd. I mean, I got a job to do. They got a job to do.
Yeah. If we all could be so welcoming of constructive criticism.
Exactly. Yeah. So I really, really like Phil. I've always liked Phil, even though we've had our, issues in the past when he was playing. But, I think that just comes from the chip on the shoulder, like me against the world type stuff. So anyway, Feed Phil section is over. And I think we got all the running backs done. So let's move on, shall we? And oh boy, we got a bunch of running back injuries. And then the wide receivers, it's like, oh man. Cooper Kupp ankle injury. Now they're projecting a week 12 return. The reports did say it was a low ankle sprain. We're always looking forward to that, right? Okay, so it's low, it's not high with Cooper Kupp. All right, still makes me nervous. And man, has he been banged up this year. More of the Monday injury rounds available at footballguys.com. Spend it all, and let's talk about it. We'll get to the tight end in a little bit. But there's multiple reasons why Odell Beckham Jr. is your number 1 receiver this week, Bloom.
Yeah, and I'm curious what you have to say about this. Because, again, cataclysmic injuries plate tectonics in motion. And I know Odell Beckham only played about a third of the snaps. This is where you have to not get too caught up on snaps because he led the team in targets with 7. And the other thing is, it's undeniable that you watch him the last few weeks and you're seeing that second gear that he hadn't been showing. And after all the injuries, and he got fined, or no, it was Tyreek Hill that got fined for the peace sign, or was it Beckham? See, it all runs together. But that's the point, Cease. That's the point. Beckham was fast enough 2 weeks ago to throw up a peace sign on a touchdown, and then last week he's over 100 yards again. Had a little shoulder injury, so let's make sure that that shoulder's okay. Doesn't it just make sense that he would become Lamar Jackson's favorite receiver now?
Mhm.
No disrespect to Zay Flowers. Doesn't it just make sense that that's going to be the guy? And the deep passing game now is getting online. And there was another
Well,
one I
doesn't
think
it
they
make
just
sense?
missed.
This is what they imagined, Bloom, right?
Yeah.
We're creatures of our imagination. We imagined our way into this show. That's what Baltimore got him for.
Yeah.
Was to do that, for Lamar to be like, here's my dude. Here's your
Yeah.
number one guy. That's probably what they sold ODB on. Come to
Yeah.
Lamar. We got a new offense. You'll be the dude.
Yeah, I think so. So it might seem aggressive, but again, it's week 12. What are you waiting for? Okay. Again, the train's at the station with Beckham. He may just get hurt again. It might not turn into anything. Facing the Chargers, you like that. Hey, did you hear Jordan Love just threw for over 300 yards against the Chargers? So I really like the potential for Odell Beckham if he can stay healthy, because it's a beautiful thing, Cease. We're seeing prime Odell Beckham make a resurgence.
Yeah. Prime ODB. Who would have thunk it? Did you have that on your bingo card?
Yeah.
What about Jaden Reed? Okay, if Jordan Love's out there tossing it, well, Jaden Reed's showing up. Romeo Dobbs. Stop trying to make Christian Watson a thing. Can we just stop with all Watson? The last Watson that was good for a receiver was Steve Watson. So can we stop with the Justin Watson and Christian Watson? Anyway, I'm ranting, Bloom. I'm not making any sense. But the Packers are making sense when they go to Jaden Reed and Romeo Dobbs. Jamison Williams, 15 to 30% more than a decoy. Now with less decoy. And there's 7-11, Demario Douglas, 15 to 30%. Let's get that group out of the way.
Yeah, there's churn here, taking advantage of a few things. One, Jordan Love coming on. So high priority for Reed, who had the running touchdown sprung by Luke Musgrave, and Dobbs, who is the guy that Love goes to when he's thrown into the end zone, facing Detroit on Thanksgiving. They're both wide receiver 3 flex plays, and they have a more likelihood of staying power than Christian Watson, who at least scored. Jamison Williams, his snap share was in the 60s, I think. He was on the field more than he had been at any point earlier this year. He caught one of the key touchdowns in the comeback in the late fourth quarter, so there's trust there. And it's this offense. I think the easiest thing to break ties when you're deciding, okay, am I going to keep Jamison Williams? Am I going to keep someone over Jamison Williams? Is we're putting trust in Ben Johnson. We're putting trust in this Lions pass offense. And we're putting trust in an offense that's, again, going to play every game indoors between now and week 17, except for a game outdoors against Chicago. So I think Jamison Williams is another one of those players, Cease, that maybe you don't ever use him, but if he's on your bench, he can't hurt you later on in the playoffs. Demario Douglas, I don't know who's going to play quarterback. Isn't it great? And isn't it interesting, Cease? We had all the Robert Saleh, Zach Wilson stuff. I had to try to fight the fight for Robert Saleh yesterday. Because did you see Robert Saleh say, they asked him, have you told Joe Douglas about your thoughts of how they went wrong, how they could change things? He said, I've shared those thoughts with him, but I'm not sharing them with you. Not sharing them with you.
He shared them for some time.
Yeah. As much as he could. And then you have Bill O'Brien. Isn't this fascinating? And Bill O'Brien's been around a while, right? He's worked with Belichick. He was praising Malik Cunningham. And they asked him something to the effect of like, well, could Malik Cunningham figure into the quarterback picture? And he said, assistant coaches make recommendations. Head coaches make decisions. So, I'm really just bringing this all up because that was fascinating, especially I'm a language person. I'm a lawyer. We're talkers. We pick our words carefully. Sometimes maybe not so carefully. Sorry, Joe. But the point is, it's always fascinating to try to parse these statements and try to figure out, number one, what these coaches think, and number two, what they're rowing upstream against in their organizations. I think Malik Cunningham should start. Why not? Certainly not Will Greer. And we know Zappy, we know Jones. So there's some risk here with Demario Douglas. But if they can get just something competent, just completing 60% of pass attempts, Demario Douglas should be a solid wide receiver 3 flex play in PPR leagues. He has a chance to really ascend in this offense if they have a functional pass offense.
I'm not sure of the rules. There are rules for policemen. The guy across the border is the answer. Chad Kelly's the answer. For anyone that needs a quarterback, you're the Bengals, you want to make a run, go get Chad Kelly. Now, I think the rules mean you can't, CFL rules mean you can't sign until like December or something. Maybe January, whatever it is. But it's like, yeah, all these crappy quarterbacks, and Chad Kelly's up there balling out. And not because him and I have the same insurance agent, because we do. Is that a sick brag, bro? Hey, when you need auto coverage, go see my guy, Antonio Pacheco. Right? Hey, me and Chad Kelly, we're tight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All these crappy quarterbacks, and Chad Kelly's up there balling out. I mean, don't we like second opportunities? Don't we like second chances? Aren't we a nation built on that love that? Hey, the guy went through alcoholism and craziness and all that. And he's absolutely balling out. He's better than Jake Browning or all these garbage quarterbacks we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the important thing is that it's just another reminder that you need to subscribe to the RSP, get your RSP, because Matt Waldman has been telling everybody for a long time that Chad Kelly is good at football. Whatever all those other things that we're not able to control or know, we do know he's good at football.
Yeah, we do know that. Let's get on and continue on through the wide receiver position. Looks like we got a nice cluster here at 10 to 20%. Robert Woods. I almost feel bad for Robert Woods. He's like the forgotten man, right? Because everyone's like, Nico and Tank. Yeah, well, Robert Woods there. Get it done. Right, exactly. Elijah Moore, 10 to 20%. Zay Jones, for now, 10 to 20%. Josh Downs, 10 to 20%. Another cluster for us to get through here.
Yeah. Robert Woods, as it stands right now, he probably doesn't have playable value, but he's in a great offense, and he's a reliable receiver. Maybe not the dangerous downfield receiver the other three are. Elijah Moore actually had a solid game with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Really curious game plan, throwing the ball over 40 times, but getting the ball out, Cecil, I think the number was 2.1 seconds. So that's what you do with Dorian Thompson-Robinson against the Steelers. That's how you frustrate the Steelers defense. We'll see what he does against Denver this week. Elijah Moore in the short passing game. Zay Jones creating more value for Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence than for himself. But remember, he's one of Lawrence's favorite targets in the red zone against Houston. That could be a shootout. Zay Jones could be back. Josh Downs, we're learning that he's been battling this knee injury since OTAs, which is great. And hey, Colts, I don't know if I agree with how they've handled everything, having a rookie play through an injury, but Downs is just that good. Now, with the schedule they have, Cease, can I just pause on this for a second? Have you seen Indy's remaining schedule? Listen to the quarterbacks they're going to face. Listen to the quarterbacks Indy's going to face. Ready? Baker Mayfield, Will Levis, Jake Browning, Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Aiden O'Connell, and Houston in week 18. Wow. That's going to be Jonathan Taylor running the ball as much as you can, right? But Gardner Minshew's going to throw sometimes, and maybe he'll throw downfield, and maybe it will be Josh Downs at the other end of those catches. So that's your 10 to 20% cluster. I think these are all players that we're saying if something can persist, maybe they'll have some value. But that's where we're at. We're turning the bottom of our bench, and there's a few other guys at the very end of our bench maybe to look at.
Yeah, a few other guys to talk about at the wide receiver position include Greg Dortch, 5 to 10%, Wan'Dale Robinson, and okay, there's Justin Watson. You get one Watson.
Yeah.
And it's not Christian, it's just
elementary Watson. We're not doing high school Watson. Greg Dortch, every time he plays, he produces. Will Michael Wilson be back? I don't know. Will Greg Dortch just force himself into the lineup with how well he's played? Maybe. He certainly is somebody that could be making a return trip to the waiver wire show if he can keep this up against the Rams. Wan'Dale Robinson, With Darius Slane going down, Tommy DeVito, maybe it's just Washington, maybe it's Tommy DeVito, but Wan'Dale Robinson played the most snaps of any Giants receiver. They're facing New England this week, and at the very least, Wan'Dale Robinson could be some good PPR depth for you. Justin Watson, talk about glass half full, glass half empty. Had 11 targets, scored, led the team in receiving yards, also had some crushing drops, So it's almost like they went into the game, well, we think we can make a game plan around Justin Watson, and well, you saw what happened when you did that. For fantasy, it was okay. I don't know if they'll do it again, but it is the Raiders. So if you are going to try to get Justin Watson's confidence back up and Patrick Mahomes' confidence in Watson back up, that might be a game to do it.
That might be the time to do it. And now it's the time to get really, really sad. Really sad. Although there is help. Like we saw Mark Andrews go down, right? And you're not going to replace 1-for-1. There is no 1-for-1 replacement for Mandrews. Okay? So now it's time to get sad and talk about the tight end position. But Bloom, there is help. There is help.
Yeah.
Might even be on his own damn team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm an Isaiah Likely fanboy, but Charlie Kolar is Matt Waldman's favorite. So, let's discuss the Baltimore situation. Let's discuss these tight ends and see what's cooking up on the TV. Well, there's Isaiah Likely at the top of your list. Donald Parham is out there as well. I think those would be the first two you would target. Yeah. Bloom, there are others, but let's get those two out the way.
Yeah, this is a supersized tight end section because
when did we ever have this much help at tight end?
Well, and some of it's and some of it ceased too. Also, is I know with a lot of people losing Mark Andrews, and it's both sides of it. Whether you lost Mark Andrews or one of the good teams in your league lost Mark Andrews, and you want to just block them, you want to take away one of their potential options. So we're going a little deeper, and maybe the priority's a little higher. Although remember, in week 12. Just about anybody with a pulse has a pretty high priority on the waiver wires. It's time to use up whatever you have left in your free agent budget. And I do think that we dig a little deeper. You don't have to dig deep to find Isaiah Likely because he had an 8 for 103 game in place of Mark Andrews last year. I know in the chat room they were mentioning Charlie Kolar, who's a solid player, Iowa State baby, Cyclones. So maybe, but I think Likely is the guy that's with a week to prepare him as a starter, especially against the Chargers. We might see something really good from him. Donald Parham, 4 for 57 last week. Stone Smart, great name, by the way. On the all-name football team, right?
All Black Eye Joe
Smart.
Name team. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, it's great. It's like, it's the brains and the brawn, right? With the 51-yard touchdown. But it does show you that Justin Herbert can make big plays throwing to the tight end. Donald Parham, we know, is going to be a red zone target. Gerald Everett's a little banged up. Parham playing starter snaps. So those are the priorities, but there's depth here. And I think that we are going to be revisiting this over the next few weeks. And this may be where fantasy leagues are won and lost, where if you lost Andrews, can you pick up the right guy? If you're trying to deny the Andrews team a pickup to save their season, can you do that? Can you get them? I think there's a lot of intrigue here.
There is a lot of intrigue, and there's a lot of tight ends to get through, so let's get through the rest of them, including Hunter Henry, Cade Otton, Jonnu Smith, Daniel Bellinger, Michael Mayer. There's the Raiders for pot stoner degenerate Jason. Yeah. And then Tyler Conklin, little sixpence, right? A little toss out there,
or Jeremy Ruckert.
Dogecoin. What do you want? Shiba Inu, right?
A shilling. Yeah. So stepping through these guys, and Jason was one of the only people in the chat room I noticed that commented on my new glasses. So I appreciate that. Made me feel good. Hunter Henry had a touchdown 3 weeks ago. Should have had a touchdown 2 weeks ago, but Mac Jones missed him. One of the plays I think that led to Mac Jones being benched. And if they have a functional passing game like the Demario Douglas outlook, if there's a functional passing game, Hunter Henry might be a guy you want. Cade Otton has 4 catches or more in 4 of the last 5 weeks. So we had that 1 down week after the 2 touchdown week, Tampa against Indianapolis. I do think that Cade Otton is a viable play. Jonnu Smith, remember, when Taylor Heineke comes in, Jonnu Smith doesn't do as much. But with Desmond Ridder, Jonnu Smith was a prominent target in this passing game. Desmond Ritter's back. Enough said there. Daniel Bellinger, again, Tommy DeVito, maybe there's something there. Maybe it was just Washington. Darren Waller's out for at least 1 more week. Michael Mayer's had 2 solid weeks in a row. Aiden O'Connell, not shy about throwing the ball. And again, with the Jets, Jeremy Ruckert, maybe Tyler Conklin, maybe nobody because of the passing game. And here we go. Just you're right, Cecil. Sadness. I think that this year in fantasy football has been marked by more sadness and just having to persevere. But isn't that the story in the NFL this year too?
That's the story, and that's why we are here for you. The Audible, Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom. Want you to check out footballguys.com and come and hang out with us, man, here in the chat room, YouTube show. It's Thanksgiving week, so our schedule, I don't know if we're doing the second part of the preview on, if it's going to be released on Thursday. We are pre-recording it, and we'll be very clear when we pre-record it.
Like, no couch this week.
We're pre-recording this, okay? So no couch, no IDP blitz. It's Thanksgiving week. Spend time with your people, man.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it's about. Spend time with your people. So do that. Have some fun. We'll have a little bit of a different schedule. We're going to preview the Thanksgiving games tomorrow at our regular time. I might be able to get to bed before. I turned in early last night, Bloom. It was 2:30.
Yeah.
So there you go. But anyway, so we'll get that out for you. We appreciate you all. Like, comment, share, subscribe, notification bell, blah, 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 blah. So now it is time. We have a new Jason, always looking for excuses, Jason. All right. So here we go. We have to ask you to participate along with us, even if family's in the house. Does Kate's mother know about this segment, Bloom?
Cue the Chuck D. First I would have to explain Public Enemy. Then I would have to explain Chuck D. Then I would have to play the song. But it would be worth it.
Yes, it would be worth it. So explain away. The more you can explain Public Enemy to the masses, the better, right?
I agree. So, everybody needs more PE.
Yeah, exactly. Fight the power. All right, let's get to it. And we want you to join in and scream it to the heavens, because some of these guys just piss you off. Sorry, Joe. So you got to do it. It is time to cue the Chuck D.
Yeah, and Cecil, I think you got it right earlier in the show when you said it's late. It's getting late. In New Orleans, we like to say it's later than you think. And I think because of that, you should have less tolerance, and you're shutting down players left and right. And you really want momentum on your bench. You really want players to have some momentum if you're going to use a roster spot on them. So some of the players we're probably churning out this week, Smith, a little banged up, hasn't really been that compelling for fantasy. I'm certainly dropping him if I have to get Odell Beckham. Matthew Stafford with Cooper Kupp banged up. Not attached to him. If I had to drop him to get, say, Jordan Love, I think there's more momentum there. At running back, Chuba Hubbard now in a committee with Miles Sanders. Maybe I'd rather have him than Sanders, but I certainly would rather. I would drop him to get Jerick McKinnon. Aaron Jones, is he going to stay healthy? When he's in, if I had to drop, I mean, the tough one was I probably would rather have Jones than Dillon, because at least I know Jones can play. I don't know if I'd rather have Jones than Jaden Reed or Romeo Doubs if I needed a wide receiver to keep it Packers centric. Wide receiver Deontay Johnson. Well, Matt Canada was fired. That's going to unlock Deontay Johnson. I don't know. I would drop Deontay Johnson for Romeo Doubs. I would drop Deontay Johnson for Jaden Reed. T. Higgins, similarly. When is he going to be back from the hamstring? When he does come back from the hamstring, what can Jake Browning do for you? Probably not much. Tyler Boyd, I'll drop for just about anybody. Tyler Boyd, even if he gets another start this week against the Steelers.
I'm just looking out here for a reason to drop.
Yeah, exactly. Just give me a reason to drop you. And obviously guys like Joe Burrow, Mark Andrews. Well, it's just sad because we enjoy watching these guys play, and it reminds us on a weekly basis why we love the game. And fantasy, no fantasy, whatever, man. Just want to see everybody stay healthy, and you want to see teams' fates decided with their best players on the field.
So Diego Sensen, what did you say? So cue the Chuck D, son. Explain it. Right. Explain it when you get home. Have a good day.
All the things that happen when you're not around.
Daniel just freaked out his cats. Be careful with that. Be careful.
Look out for the
So
cuties.
yeah, there you go. There you go. It is time, and that's why this next section, I almost said segment and section, sexment.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Sorry Joe Plus show. Anyway, I'm confusing myself, but this is going to be very, very short, or at least it should be, Bloom,
Right.
because you got your heart, baby. I'm all about the heart. You know me. I'm a lover.
Mhm.
I'm a lover and a fighter. Although it's been a while. Anyway, not for loving, but for fighting. I want to be very clear about that, Bloom. Anyway, my God, am I backing into this? My point is,
No, keep going. Keep going. Get more rope. More rope.
exactly. My point is, you shouldn't be holding on to many people. It's fantasy playoffs drawing near.
Yeah.
Get them out of here and get someone that can actually play. So in week 12, who are some of your hold-ons?
Yeah. See, sexment. That was our trademark. We didn't get the trademark in. That was going to be for the Sex God pod. We weren't going to have segments. We were going to have sexments.
Oh,
So we got to go run to the patent office for that. You're right, Cease. It's hard to make a case of players to hold on to at this point. Who could I make a case for this week? Devin Achan. Don't do anything rash and drop him. Ken Walker. Don't do anything rash and drop him. Don't be too much of a knee jerk, especially Achan, because I'm sure it was frustrating. Marquise Brown, I'll give him one more week. All right. If Marquise Brown comes up small again, then I'm open to dropping him. Not going to drop Cooper Kupp because it's only a low ankle sprain. Not that anybody's going to rush out to drop him. So yeah, I think that your note was excellent, Cease. That at this point in the year, the waiting is over.
yeah, the waiting is over. It's time to flip and win. You got in this position. You're in the position to make a run for a championship. What are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Actually, that's
waiting for Matt Canada to get fired. Oh, wait, he got fired.
He did get fired. Actually, that's a good point about life, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
That's why they say
where
it's
you
later
going?
than you think. That's why they say that down here in New Orleans.
Right. It's
Later
getting
than you think.
later. It's getting late early. Isn't that a baseball thing? Right? It's
Something
getting
like
late
that.
early. Who said that?
Probably Yogi Berra.
Okay. It's getting late early. Anyway.
90% of baseball's physical, the other half's mental.
Right. Let's see. There was one I wanted to get to. Goaty says, "Love you." Thank you, Goaty. Appreciate you. And then Nobody says, "I miss Matt Waldman and Dr. Gene." Oh man.
Yeah.
If we can,
Yeah, we will.
just a programmer note, and I've teased this before, so we need to God bless America do it, because enough talk. It's all about action. Again, thoughts, emotions, and actions. We will have a reunion show at some point.
The Four
and of
Horsemen
course,
will ride again.
yes, not this week because it's Thanksgiving, but Matt and Jeff Bell do a great job on the Audible Live on Thursday nights.
Thursday nights, yeah.
To carry that name, baby. I mean, and this name not only was a great idea, and shout out Jeff Pasquino. We haven't talked about Jeff in a while.
And the logo too. He did the logo too, right?
No, we had a contest. We had a contest for people to do that. And but here's the thing, like, and I wanted to name this show The Zone Blitz. That's how dumb I am. And he's like, no, the Audible. Get it? It's like Audible, and it's the Audible. I'm just like, but the Zone Blitz. Anyway, I think it was my machismo, Bloom. But anyway,
because you love Dick LeBeau so much.
Exactly. But the Audible, this name, and to carry that name and to be able to do that with Jeff Bell and Matt Waldman. Of course, Matt is the Audible, and Jeff, to have Jeff do his great work, like, I am very protective of this name. And I know you are too, because I've seen you tweet at Bruce Feldman.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bruce does great work, but hey, we came first.
Bruce does great work, but
you're welcome for us allowing you to use the name, Bruce.
Yes. So anyway, no, I don't even know what my point was. My point is we love you guys as well, and trust me, if we can pull that off, probably be in the springtime, if I were to guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And it comes down to Dr. Gene's schedule, who still's got some fingerprints on football guys, because he's busy with his practice. He's busy doing, the real work, right? And we're busy running around in the sandbox.
Yeah. We're busy saying, sorry, Joe.
and talking about podcasts that we'll never
X-Mints.
do. But it's an idea, right? We got plenty of ideas for podcasts.
The road to hell is paved with podcast
podcasts.
ideas.
That's right. He is Sigmund Bloom. Follow him on all the socials at Sigmund Bloom. As our guy Jason says, smash the like button, you filthy animals, and do that. Happy Matt Canada Day to those who celebrate. Charlie, we are celebrating. That is for sure. Football Guys After Dark. Pre-recorded though. Anyway. So we will be here for you this week. We'll have our normal preview shows. Tomorrow is a Thanksgiving games only preview.
Right.
And then we will be pre-recording the rest of the preview. So that'll be a little touchy in terms of injuries. But anyway, we'll get to all that. We're here for you. Enjoy your people this week. Go win some fantasy football. Shut down who you need to shut down. Okay. Chuck D for a lot of these fools. All right. Get them out of here.
Yeah.
Get people that can play. Don't hold on. Hold on for the championship. When you're not going to play him anyway. When you're benched, like, I'm just going to hold. I might pick up Marshall Faulk just so I can win another ring with him. But, like, okay, that's for then. Right now, you got to be savage. So, anyway, go out and get it done. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible. Eyes up. Stay tuned and stay frosty.